I just want to see this guy do interviews because I can't make out that country twang that he has is legit. I can't understand what this guy's saying. But
Dude,
it sounds good.
it sounds like he's coming from like Louisiana. He almost has that
Man.
Asian, kind of accent going.
You remember the guy from Bobby Boucher, that movie? And he's hold on, here go. Like he reminds me of that guy, and I just love it. I hope the guy does well.
Guy.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Beard Zone Sports Talk. My name is David. I got Scooter. I got Carlos. Theo is missing tonight, but Theo is currently at the hospital with his wife. That looks like that they are finally gonna have this baby. It's been a long time coming. They've been waiting for this. They're excited for it. So prayers go out to him and his family. We're excited for you, man. We can't wait to see the pictures of the new addition to your family. But fellas, we are talking. This division I have been looking forward to this entire series. We are continuing our series talk with our way too early prediction, and it is finally time to do the NFC South, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers division. They've owned this division for the last several years. I think they'll continue to own this division. But let's dive right into it. And let's start off with the bottom dwellers of this division last year, and really the bottom dwellers of the NFL last year, and that is the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers are coming off a really rough year. And it was a rough year for their rookie quarterback, Bryce Young, too. Not a whole lot of weapons around him, unfortunately. And it just did not work out the way that they were hoping. But they got a new coach at the helm with Dave Canellis. I think that he's going to be a good addition. I like what he was able to do with Geno Smith over in Seattle. And then obviously last year with the Buccaneers as the offensive coordinator with Baker Mayfield, and how good of a season Baker Mayfield has. So I honestly think that it's the best. It's the best hire that they could have gotten. To kind of help their young quarterback out. But fellas, I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say about the Carolina Panthers, and where you guys kind of rank them in this division coming into the 2024-2025 season.
Right where they left it.
Yeah.
I don't have much hope for them. They did add some pieces though. Like they're trying. The one thing that they did, I think they did very well was to shore up the middle of the offensive line. They go out and they spend some money. They spent $153 million on that middle, with Robert Hunt getting 100 of it from the Dolphins. And he's a road grader. He's a good pickup for them. And then they get Damian Lewis from Seattle for $53 million. So they did shore that up a little bit for them. It should be a little bit easier to run the ball for them up the middle. It's just they still got a lot of pieces, man. They've got some rebuilding to do, and they don't really have a lot of cap even next year. I mean, to keep building like they need to do it. But, I mean, we'll see. What worries me is when a QB coach becomes a head coach. Canales did well with Geno and then Baker, but he's now the head coach, so he has to delegate everything. So they're going to rely on the new quarterback coach can he be as successful with Bryce as, because Canales got to worry about the whole team now. He just can't focus in on it's just the offensive side of the ball. So we're going to see. I know he'll work with him. He won't be, but he's still the head coach now. So, and I'm not sold on Bryce Young either. I think he's small. I just wasn't a big fan of him coming out of college, and don't know. We'll see, man. They added a ton of pieces on defense too. They get Clowney I don't know how much that's going to help them. They do get Ashawn Robinson to pair aside.
He had 10 sacks last year, though.
He did. I mean, it'll help. It's better than what they had last year. I like the signing of Ashawn Robinson to pair up next to Derek Brown, which I think Derek Brown's a beast. I'm a big fan of his. I'm curious to see how Kaylon Kaysen, I think that's how you say his name. He was the first round pick of the Jags coming out of LSU. So they signed him on a cheap deal this year. I'm just curious to see, like, is this guy going to pull it together, ball out? You know, I think this is his last shot for to get a contract, other than just, these $2-3 million deals. So they still got work to do. I give them. I'm going to put them at 5-12 this year. But I think they're going to be back at the bottom, and they're going to just keep rebuilding. New head coach, man, it's rough, man. Still got a growing quarterback and not a whole lot. They did add Deontay Johnson, though. I mean, so there is some help at wide receiver. Alan Thielen was a fantasy football beast last year for a little while. So we'll see how they do. I mean, they got Mingo, Terrence Marshall. You know who I like, though, on their side? Is the guy they drafted, Xavier Leggett from South Carolina. I just want to see this guy do interviews because I can't make out that country twang that he has is legit. I can't understand what this guy's saying. But
dude, it sounds like he's coming from like Louisiana. He almost has that Asian, kind of accent going.
You remember the guy from Bobby Boucher, that movie, and he's hold on, here go. Like, he reminds me of that guy, and I just love it. I hope the guy does well. Yeah. But yeah, I think they're going to be at the bottom this year.
Yeah, I had them. I don't have them getting into third place. I still have them in fourth place at the bottom this year. But I do like what they did. I think that they're definitely building, and I think that if Dave Canales can get some years. I mean, this owner has not been one to be patient with head coaches. So I'm hoping that Dave kind of gets a fair shot to really kind of help kind of get into this role as the head coach, like you were saying, Carlos, and really kind of be that consistency that Bryce Young and a young quarterback needs in the NFL. Every young quarterback needs consistency. And so, but again, this owner, man, he's just not patient. Like he fires everyone. He throws beers on people. Like he's just he's an absolute menace to society. But I do like what they did. On top of drafting Xavier, they also got Jonathan Brooks. I think he's going to be really good, especially with them getting those two guards this offseason. I think that that's going to be something that Bryce Young can rely on a little bit more. Because their running game just wasn't there.
Do you think he beats out Chuba Hubbard for the starting role?
I do. After last year with what Hubbard was able to do or not do, I think that he does end up getting more reps than Hubbard. I don't think that he'll start at the beginning of the year, but I think that they drafted him for a reason. So I think the writing's kind of on the wall. But then honestly, let's look at this defensive side. You said that they added Clowney. They got Derek Brown, who is an absolute beast. But then if you look at their secondary is not that bad at all. Like they got Xavier Words, they have Jordan Fuller, they got J.C. Horn. So these guys, they're pretty good. And they kept their defensive coordinator, Everett. They were able to keep him after last year. And last year, they ranked fourth fewest allowed with yards per game allowed in the NFL. And it was the third lowest that franchise has ever seen. So he's doing good, and they were able to keep him. So I think that that's going to do good for that defensive unit. Losing Brian Burns sucks. I understand why they traded him because they were just not going to be able to pay him what he deserved, honestly. But, I mean, getting Clowney in, getting that other nose tackle in from Seattle. Although he hasn't been great as far as stats, he does the job of a nose tackle, and he just kind of plugs up that middle. And with Derek Brown next to him, you're going to have the help that you need. So it should be. I think that they're heading in the right direction, but it's not going to be this year. I have them going right around 6 and 11, 7 and 10. 7 and 10 on a really good year. It's just because their schedule is easy, man. I mean, and I get it. It's early. No one knows what these schedules are really going to do. Injuries are going to play a big factor. There's always that one team that surprises the whole league. But I mean, I do like what they have, and I'm a big fan of Dave Canales. I didn't like him leaving. I wanted him to stay here in Tampa. But hey, he deserves it. I mean, he did well. So I do like they're heading in the right direction.
Agree with some of that because Canales also started calling plays for the Bucs, and we were 32nd in the league in rushing. So they're going to go down
to run the ball. So
he's a quarterback guy. For that matter. So the Panthers last year were 2-15. I don't see them doing much better. They were 32nd in passing, so I guess that's a kudos for Canales to look remotely better. They were 20th in rushing, 4th in total defense yards-wise. Sacks, 32nd, because they never touched the quarterback. Turnover differential was 25th, and they had 10 interceptions, 9 fumbles, but only 3 were lost. You have a new head coach that's not exactly proven as a, how do I say this, like holistic leader. So like he has never been the guy, right? He's always been a complimentary character to the staff or to mentor quarterbacks, right? So from a Bryce Young future standpoint, I think Canales was a good call. From a head coach standpoint, we'll find out. They still have Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, and see how much he's got left in the tank. Hubbard and Sanders. So they got Sanders in the backfield from Philly, I believe. Yeah, and they need to produce yards. Jonathan Brooks is still showing questionable, and I know he had the injury from Texas, and we also have 2 Texas elite running backs in this division. We also have Bijan Robinson as well for the Falcons, so keep that in mind. Brooks is no slouch. If he is completely healthy, then that rushing defense or the rushing offense, is something to look at. And to complement Bryce Young worked with lots and lots of play action in Alabama, and I think that will complement him very well. And then, everyone says he's short like Kyler Murray and everything else, but he has incredible field vision. And he never had the chance to do it except for a few throws down the field. And to be honest, that 2-15 record was a lot of drops. I know we were watching other teams, and I think it was mid-season when they were like, oh my God, Patrick Mahomes is throwing dimes and, everyone's dropping the ball. So were the Panthers. But it's Bryce Young and he's a rookie. So they're like, oh, Bryce Young might suck. I don't think he sucks. I think he's still in the prove it category. They have Deontay Johnson, like you said. He's their number 1 wide receiver. I'm not sure if he's like a true number 1. Like if you put him on a different team with an A-list guy, I think he's a good number 1 for them right now. I think he's a good builder for Leggett. Like you were saying, Leggett's, I thought that was kind of a questionable pick. And then you started watching some tape, and he's actually probably, depending on how he performs, he might be their number 1 guy down the line. They still got Sanders from Kentucky. He's a bigger dude. I think he's more on the blocking side, but I'm sure he's got hands. They have the biggest to prove on offense, hands down in this division. Their defense absolutely has to get sacks. Like I said, 32nd in sacks. If you can't touch the quarterback remotely, you're gonna lose, and that's what we saw this whole past year. And you said Clowney got picked up, yeah, but when you get pressure and you intimidate the guy throwing the ball or trying to do some play action and get in their face, you're going to create turnovers, which would then push them further off the bottom in the turnover category. They had the 5th easiest schedule, according to the Pro Football Network. Everyone's got them listed differently. I think this was a good hit, give me to the Panthers as well. Dave, I think you said 5-12. I'm saying 4-13. I don't think they do that much better this year. I don't think they win more than 5 games max.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think 5 is the limit for them.
They have the longest yards to go, period. Yeah. Figuratively and literally.
Well, I mean, hey, sometimes we like to be optimistic. But I mean, and listen, I don't care if they go 0-17. Scooter as a Bucks fan, we don't care, right? Like we own this division. You know, the Panthers haven't been relevant since Cam Newton, so I mean,
True.
but I don't think that they're gonna. I think that they will stay at the bottom of this division. But I do feel like that they made some good moves this offseason that can help them in the long run. So we'll see. But let's go to a team that I hate, right? And that is the New Orleans Saints. And hate, that's a strong word. But I think it's just too weak of a
Good for
word.
you.
I think it's just too weak of a word for my feelings towards the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints have been just the most hated team by a Tampa fan. And, a lot of those Saints fans are saying, it's because we dominate you guys. Well, that's okay because we retired Drew Brees and we still have 2 Super Bowls. So
and there's no bounty anymore.
And there's no more bounty. So, but hey, they came off a 9-7 year last year, right? They competed with Tampa. They won that fight. It was like week 16, week 17 game against Tampa that I was like, come on, but like, don't do this right now, right? Because we were in the position where if we would win out, we would just seal the division up, no questions asked. We end up losing, so we ended up having, to win the final game there at the end of the year to go ahead and take the division title at 9-7. But they finished second in the division. Derek Carr, with his first year in the New Orleans Saints, although he was in and out. Like he was always starting a game, but then he just kind of like left the games early. And then as a Tampa fan, that left Jameis Winston, and I'm okay with that, right? And I think that everyone kind of understood now that Jameis Winston just, no matter if he has LASIK or not, he's just not that great of a quarterback. So, but Derek Carr, I mean, he threw for 3,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, and interceptions. They have a pretty decent offense. With Chris Olave there out at wideout, they also have Rashid, who made a lot of like big plays last year for them. But it's really not the offense that I'm looking at. It's this defense. And this defense, if you look at it, they look really good, actually. They really do. And I mean, they add Chase Young, right? Which that sucks if you're an offensive line, or a quarterback in the NFC South. But they also they pick up Kool-Aid McKinstry in the draft, which I think is a very, very good pickup for them to tag along with Marshawn Lattimore. Their secondary is getting older, right? But I still think that they have a pretty good defense, overall. But it's again, man, this the strength of the schedule. That's kind of what I'm trying to go off of.
I'm so in suspense of this record that you're going to throw out.
Listen, I'm not. I try to throw out all my bias, right? Because when I first started typing my notes, everyone else was going like 0-17. Bucks were going to go 17-0. Like that's just how it was going to be. But then I had to be realistic with myself. I had the Saints actually having a pretty good year. I have them going anywhere between 10-7 and 12-5. They could definitely compete in this. They can definitely compete in this division. I mean, if you look at what they were doing last year, and everything that they could do this year, I think that they can be a pretty solid team, this year, and they can definitely compete in this division. Can they win it? Yes, absolutely. Can they finish third? Yes, absolutely, because of the other 2 teams that we have yet to talk about. But it should be fun. This division gets a lot of crap, right? Like this division gets a lot of crap for saying that it's the worst division in football. But if you looking at these teams, looking at these players that are on these teams, this division is actually pretty competitive. At the end of the day, they're competitive. So, and one of the teams made it all the way to the divisional round last year and had the Cinderella team, Detroit Lions, that played until the final whistle. So, but I think that the Saints have a fair shot of winning this division. and I don't want to talk any more about it because that just pained me to say. So I'll let you guys take over. And I'm hoping, just be brutally honest. Just be brutally honest.
Scooter, if he has them at possible 12-5, what's he got the Bucks?
Just wait.
It's not realistic. It can't be because, like, if you look at the Saints,
how is it not realistic? All of these teams have easy.
I'll
And
go.
you think that if I have one team at 10-7 and I have the other, no, I'll just lay it out right now. I have
no. Wait, hold it. Let Scooter go. Let him go.
Okay, the Saints were 9-8 last year with 4-2 tying the Bucks, right? And we won that split. They were 11th in passing, 21st in rushing, total defense at 13th. Sacks were at 28th. Oh, power to the defense, right? They have to because they're just above the dang Panthers. And then turnover differential, because everyone had to throw the ball, was third, surprisingly, because, they can't take people's heads off, but they'll just pick the ball off instead. My biggest thing for them is Carr legit. He looks like another Kirk Cousins. He's only got one playoff win, roughly the same amount of yards, minus about, I think, 400. And the turnover or the interception to TD ratio is roughly the same. They're only separated by 2 years. Except Kirk Cousins has been in the playoffs like 5 times. So there's that. His track record and his health is probably the biggest question mark. Let's be real. Concussions, shoulder, you name it. The backup to him is Rattler. I thought that was a solid pickup. And it was kind of like, oh, okay, interesting there. They got McKinstry, like you said. That's probably their biggest named dude outside of Oregon State's offensive tackle, Fuga. I probably said that wrong. But they're the biggest threat to the Bucks because of that rivalry and the fact that they play dirty. I'm just going to throw it out there. If Ndamukong Suh played for the Saints, it wouldn't change anything. Ford at linebacker from Texas was an interesting pick because of the depth that they have, or needed, rather. And Boyd as the defensive tackle from Northern Iowa. I know it's like a D2 dude or whatever, but they needed help because they can't touch the quarterback. Let's be honest here. They have the third easiest schedule in the entire NFL. And I'm saying this now, how you rate the NFL teams and their easiest schedule, all that stuff is very subjective. And I got it. It's the NFC South. We've been kind of the punching bag of the NFC for the past few years, but, every team in there has seen the Super Bowl at least once. And we got 3 champions in it.
Only one team has won it. Well, okay. The New Orleans Saints won it, but that was...
Yeah, we have 3 champions, as in 2 for the Bucks and 1 for the Saints. Yeah. And the other 2, well, best of luck next time.
Hey, man, we're undefeated, dude. Call us the Jordan of the NFL, because we don't lose when we make it to the Super Bowl.
It's like Eli Manning in the Super Bowl, right? Someone's going to win, probably us. So, at 9-8 last year, I don't see them doing better than 9-8 this year. I just don't. They have a decent offense. They have decent dudes on defense. But at the end of the day, you got Derek Carr as your quarterback. Like, the guy was considered a huge, strong-arm guy coming out of Fresno State. You got Spencer Rattler, who's basically the same guy, except probably a little smaller and a little shiftier. But he's going to throw some interceptions, and you better hope to God you're not throwing them at the wrong time. And they threw Jameis in there for whatever was reason last year, probably mostly for injuries. But I don't see the Saints getting better than 9-8. They are still the biggest threat probably to the Bucks and the Falcons because of what they have. And Olave is a huge threat, and you still got Kamara. So 9-8.
I'm with you. I don't know what David's smoking. I got him at around that. Actually, I don't know if they're over.
So I say 10-7, and you guys say 9-8.
Possibly 12-5.
That's the best case scenario.
Okay, their best case scenario, I think, is 10-7. I really think they're an 8-9 team. Here's my worry with the Saints. One, they live in salary cap hell. How do they even make it out every year? They're $100 million under going into next year.
The Saints are the reason why the salary cap isn't real. I fully believe that.
Holy mackerel.
I don't believe that it's real.
$100 million you're going to go into next year under. Like, you got Alvin Kamara making $31 million. It's ridiculous. The guy hasn't really been relevant in a sense since 2020. He had a really good year, but he's no Christian McCaffrey. I'm kind of with Scooter. Is Derek Carr that guy that's can he take it to the next level? Can he lead this team? Other than Olave, Rashid he does make some plays, but he's I think he's probably really a third. I don't know if he's really a second. I do like their offensive line. I think it's pretty good. I think they did a good job on the draft pick. I just don't know. The offense is such a big question, but I do think their defense is good. I think they get Willie Gay in from the Chiefs. My only issue with the Saints is that they're starting to get old. They have had their same defensive coordinator since 2015, so that defense is ingrained in these guys. So that's why their defense is good, because they know what to. There's been no changes, but they're getting older. Cameron Jordan's getting older. Demario Davis is getting older. The Honey Badger's getting older. I mean, but they do bring in some younger guys. They do bring in Chase Young. I think that'll help a little bit. You know who they bring in a little bit of Kool-Aid from Alabama. That's my favorite. God, it's a good name, Kool-Aid. So yeah, I think their defense kind of keeps them in games. I think they're going to be third, though. I don't think they're going to. It's really going to depend on that offense, man. I just don't know. They're going to need Kamara to come back to the way he was a few years ago. They're going to need that stellar year from Derek Carr, where he's over 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. They're putting a lot of pressure on that defense. So, but they are in the NFC South, and man, you guys would probably hate me for this. This is a division that an 8-9 team could win. I think somebody could go 8-9 and win this division, or 9-8. It could go.
Is the
either
NFC
way.
South the new NFC East?
Yes.
Remember
the older days? Yeah, the older days when the Giants, Commanders, and Eagles.
Yeah, remember when the NFC East it was like 7-10, and they made it to the freaking conference championship or something crazy like that. Like, what are we doing?
But I don't think 8-9 wins this division. But I got them at 8-9. I think there's just too many question marks on offense. But if they do, that offense can come around. They could be a little bit dangerous.
Let's go to a team that broke my heart during the NFL draft. Because this team, they had the 8th overall pick. And if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, I want to know right now, what do you think about the Michael Penix pick? You just paid Kirk Cousins $180 million. And then you go out, and with the number 8 overall pick in the NFL draft, you get pretty much his replacement down the road. When you had players like a Dallas Turner, who you could definitely have used, or, other guys who were definitely there for the taking. And I want to know what your guys' thought. But as a Tampa guy and as a Washington Husky fan, it broke my heart to see the rival of my favorite NFL team pick him up, because now I have to root against him. I have to. I can't root for this guy's success, because his success means that Atlanta is doing successful. And I don't want that as a Tampa fan, because it's finally been a good stretch of years to be a Tampa Bay Bucs fan, and I just don't want to let it go yet. I'm not ready to let go of that feeling. But the Atlanta Falcons, they go out, they pay Kirk Cousins, they bring in Raheem Morris. And Raheem Morris, as a Tampa fan, not a lot of people like him. But he's had time to grow. He's had time. He was over there in Los Angeles. He ran the defense over there. And that defense recorded the 4th best red zone efficiency rating and the 7th fewest rushing yards per game in the NFL. It definitely helps out this defense. So then that way, and that was for the Los Angeles Rams. It wasn't for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm talking about.
Looking at my notes.
Yeah, no, it was. I saw Scooter immediately go, let me fact check this guy really quick, because I'm talking about when he was with Los Angeles as the defensive coordinator. He won a Super Bowl with Sean McVay over there. He kind of helped see McVay build this culture, and I think that he can bring some of that into Atlanta. Now, Atlanta fans, take a sigh of relief, and fantasy football fans, take a sigh of relief, because we can finally see these weapons on this offense get used. You have Kyle Pitts. You have Drake London. You have Bijan Robinson, which, dude, that guy just was so underutilized last year. But they have a great offensive line. I think that they have one of the better offensive lines in the league. They have a pretty solid defense overall. And I think that Kirk Cousins is going to do what Kirk Cousins does, and he just wins games. Does he win playoff games? No. Does he win primetime games? No. But luckily for the Atlanta Falcons, they don't get a lot of primetime games. So, I mean, it's a win-win scenario for them. This is where my predictions for this division gets weird. I have the Atlanta Falcons doing the exact same of what I see the New Orleans Saints could do. Worst case scenario, 10-7. Best case scenario, 12-5. They're a good team. I like the Kirk Cousins addition. I think that they can compete. It's an easy division, right? I mean, we all can say that. And they're a team that I want to be surprised if they won this division this year. As a Tampa fan, I'm not going to say that they're going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. No, I'm not going to say it. It's not, no. So, but yeah, I mean, 10-7, 12-5. I think that's for me at least. Now, I mean, I might get shot from you guys, but I think that that's a realistic expectation for the Atlanta Falcons this year.
Oh, Scooter, tell him what. Is he right?
I mean,
this guy's just going to read something that he just copied and pasted from Google, bro. Like, what do we
I actually wrote it down. I used pen and paper. Gosh. Look at my monocle out for a second. No, the Falcons to me have the biggest room for improvement, and that's what they did this offseason. They went 7-10 last year. Kind of like a wishy-washy team. They didn't know what they wanted to do. Obviously, it wasn't passing the ball because they were 22nd in the league, and then they were 9th in rushing, but they hardly used Bijan Robinson, which pissed off everyone in fantasy and anyone who had, skin in the game there. They were 11th in total defense, 21 in sacks, and then 30th in turnover differential because they lost a lot of games. So they had 17 interceptions from Desmond Ridder and company, 11 fumbles with only 3 lost, 3-3 in the division, in a division that can easily go completely lopsided or not. Is Cousins the answer to what the Falcons need? I think right now, yes. They picked up Penix for a reason. I find it hard to believe that a bunch of billionaires said, I'm going to go pick this guy because I can. And you know what? Penix, to me, looks like an Atlanta fit. I hate to say that too, Dave, but he's legit. And I think he's good to sit behind Kirk Cousins for that mentorship. Yeah, I think there's the right mentality in the QB room right now for the Falcons to succeed. 100%. And that I kind of want to throw up saying that, but it's true. Is Robinson's usage going to go up? It better. Otherwise, someone's getting fired. And Radio, their head coach, it hasn't been shown to win games. As a Bucs fan, we watched that dumpster fire, okay? They have Radio playing head coach. He's good as a coordinator. He's just like Todd Bowles. He's good as a coordinator. And that's where I'm going to leave that. Hits better start catching the dang ball, too.
Wow,
so the Falcons did well in the draft. They got Penix, they got Trice, they got Dorius, they got Bertrand, McClendon. For the running back, if anyone wants to watch some, flex tape, there you go. And then Washington to deepen their wide receiver core because God knows the Falcons got a lot of depth at wide receiver. If you look at the depth chart, they got a ton of it. And their defense, it's all right, but they need, like with everything else in this division, probably minus the Bucs, you need to get after the quarterback and produce some turnovers to get in the positive in the win column. They have the easiest schedule in the NFL. It was like the biggest hand me to a team. They're like, here's a positive record. Go for it. I think the physicality is part of the game there. Kirk Cousins thrives on play action just like Bryce Young will. Penix is similar position because of his Washington career, right? However, the homecoming game for those that are listening for Kirk Cousins to Minnesota is Week 14 at Minnesota. So we will see if he's legit.
Wait, is it prime time? Please tell me it's prime time.
I don't know. I didn't check that far. All I saw was the schedule.
I don't think it is.
No. Either way, it's going to be a pretty cool game, in all honesty, to see two offenses go at it, because the defenses we don't know right now. I think the Falcons and the Bucs are going to battle for first place. Either team, and I'm saying this for the Falcons, can go probably 10-7 or 11-6. I'm not saying any team in this division is a 12-win team unless we start seeing a boat race in the second half of the season, to be totally honest. All these teams are in the top 7 or whatever as easiest schedules, but we all know it's the NFL and things just happen. 10-7 for the Falcons, max at 11-6.
Like it a lot.
I get shot for one more game.
Well, it's also Raheem Morris, because they could also go 5-12.
I'm with Scooter. I don't like the Raheem Morris, whether he spent time in LA. I did like that he brought Zach Robinson over. Robinson had a lot of hand in the offense over there in multiple roles. So they're getting modernized. And that's what I think that the Falcons did the best, is they modernized that offense. With Cousins, and then they Drake London and Kyle Pitts I think Kyle Pitts is, if he doesn't break out this year, I don't think it's ever going to happen for him. I think this is like his time. I think he's going to benefit the most from Kirk Cousins. But they bring in Darnell Mooney from the Bears. I like Mooney. He just playing with Fields. That guy can get down the field. I do like him. They get Rondale Moore, a nice little slot guy for them in the middle on there. And like David, like you said, their O-line it's probably top 5, man. It is a good O-line, man. They're going to be strong there, which they're going to need. I don't know how Cousin comes back from the injury, but one thing I know about Cousin, that dude is a tough dude, man. He got beat up in Minnesota year after year, and he is a tough dude. I go back and forth with a draft pick. Did they make a mistake? Because I think Dallas Turner helps their defense immediately, and they needed it badly. Like, their defense it's not great. It's okay. I think the corners are good, and they do well in some areas, but they really needed that guy off the edge, man. But if they're taking the stance of the Packers, and the Penix gets to sit for 2 or 3 years, and then, but that's a pick down the road. And I still think it's a little bit of I would have took Dallas Turner. I would have taken the chance to have the opportunity to take this division. I think it's a big piece, but I get it. I mean, can't argue with them taking a quarterback that, he's going to learn from a good quarterback. And Kirk Cousins does win regular season games, but he just can't win playoff games. So, man, they're a tough team for me to score here, man. I don't think there's a team in this division that I look at and is like, ooh, that's a scary team. We got to watch out. I got them at 10-7. I think that's where they're going to be at. And, but I think they're headed in the right direction. I just don't, I'm with, Scooter. I do not like the Raheem Morris as head coach. He is not a good head coach. I think he's 21 and like 38. He's not good. He's a defensive coordinator, and some guys just know that, hey, you're a coordinator. You're just, some people aren't built to be head coaches, and he's one of them. But maybe he proves us wrong. Who knows? I doubt it, but I got him at 10-7.
Yeah. I think the funniest story that came out from Atlanta this offseason was that Kirk Cousins, the quarterback that they signed, whistle blew against his new team, saying like, hey, that these guys like talked with me in the tampering period, right? I just wanted to put that out there. It's just like, what are we doing, Kirk? You just got the absolute bag, and you just went on. He just has those morals and those values. So,
yeah.
But it should be an interesting, it should be an interesting year. I think that they are the team to watch in the NFC South as far as to compete for the top spot. That brings us, that brings us to the Tampa Bay
Before
Buccaneers.
You start, I feel like I'm on a lonely island here, man. I got 2 Tampa fans, and I just, you know what? I'm ready to go.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
17-0.
Yeah.
Where's this?
We're
Where's
taking
this?
him this year, dude.
Where's this exit button?
Oh man. Hey, but look, I'm gonna start off with this. Diehard Tampa fan, been around since Sean King, Trent Dilfer, all of those. But Jason Light has got to get more credit for what this guy does year in and year out in the offseason. He's a magician when it comes down to making sure that these guys get paid. We brought back some really key pieces that I legit thought that we were going to be losing Mike Evans this year. I
did
really thought that we were going to be losing him. Get him back. I thought that there was a chance that we might lose Levante because he is getting a little bit older. Get him back. Antoine Winfield Jr., one of the best safeties in the league. Get him back. Then they go out, they bring back old Jordan Whitehead, who was a game wrecker when he was in this defense a couple of years ago before he departed to be with the Jets. Then, of course, they get Baker. They signed Baker, which there for a brief period, it almost was like, wait a minute, did Baker just come here, prove his point, and now he's going to go and get paid somewhere else? But he stays here in Tampa to continue to rally this team. They've all bought into him, which I absolutely love. And I love that they brought in the offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, which he was with Baker out in L.A. for his short stint. But I think that was good just simply because of the chemistry that was there, right? So I think that he's going to be able to implement the offense that Baker wants to play in, and that's going to do nothing but good because now you have Mike Evans, you have Chris Godwin, and then they go out and they draft these guys are playmakers, and Bucky Irving absolutely loved that pick with the running back from Oregon, and then Jalen McMillan, the guy from Washington, wide receiver from Washington. But they really beefed up that offensive line with the pick on Graham Barton at center. Ryan Jensen departed. I don't know if I'm not going to say that Ryan Jensen is a Jason Kelce caliber because he's not at all. But as far as saying that, hey, Graham Barton can fill the role of Ryan Jensen, that's a tall order to fill. Is he going to be as good? I don't know. Time will tell. But I do like that pick. I like our two tackles with Luke Gadecki and Tristan Wirfs. I mean, Tristan Wirfs is an absolute animal. I don't know what's going to happen when it's time to pay Tristan, dude. It's going to be a scary year for sure. But and then you look at this defense. This D-line has got to be one of the deepest D-lines in the NFL as far as depth. You got Vita Vea. You got Kalijah Kancey. You got Yaya Diaby. You have Logan Hall. You have William Goldston, who, if you're a Tampa fan, William Goldston can make some big plays, especially down there by the goal line. Then you go out and you get Chris Braswell from Alabama. Guy's going to be awesome off of the edge. So I really like this defense. Now, I say all of that. I don't know what it is about Tampa and secondaries. I don't know what it is. I think that they have something against cornerbacks. I'm not too sure, but we got rid of Carlton Davis. He went to the Detroit Lions, who he's definitely going to be a great addition to that defense. Hated to see him leave. We still have Jamel Dean, who not as consistent as you would like, right? I mean, he'll do, but he's not like that guy who you can just kind of be like, hey, go and follow this number one wide receiver, and we know that we're good. He definitely needs the over-the-top help. But I like this team. Now, I say all of that, though, and I'm right back to it. 10-7 at worst, 12-5 at best. And I think it's going to come down. I think it's just going to come down to the divisional games. Which team is going to pull away in those divisional games and who can stay healthy? I think that's going to be the name of the game. But I like them, and I think that they will win this division again. The champs are going to be back. We're going to be in the playoffs. It's time to do some upsets again, man. Philadelphia fans, look away. Like, dude, we're here, and I like Baker Mayfield. I like what this team is doing. Let's just get that secondary a little bit stronger, man. I think that we could have a really solid team.
I would love to go with a 12-5, Dave, but I don't I don't
Look,
know.
man, just say what you want to say. Don't immediately start kicking me in the face.
We went 9-8 last year.
I know. So
and
why is it
barely
crazy to
won our-
say that we could go either 10-5 or 12-5, a couple of game difference? I'm not saying that we're
they're
going
not that much
14-3.
They're not.
We did all right. We
They're
did
not
all
any
right.
better.
So on top of who you've mentioned, we did pick up Tyke Smith from UGA safety, so we're pretty fat there. However, the cornerbacks is the biggest question for our defense because passing wise on offense, we were 17th. We were kind of mid, right? We were trying to prove something. We were also passing way more than everybody else because guess where we were in rushing? Dead last in the NFL. We went from Rashad White being the second coming of, the work done Mike's All-Star era to dead last because Steve Canales doesn't know how to run the ball.
That's okay because Liam Cohen does. So I'm okay with that.
Thank God. Because our total defense was 23rd, again, kind of towards the bottom. Sacks, we were 10th, so we were up in the top. On our turnover differential, because we had to play a lot of defense, was 9th. So Baker threw for 10 interceptions. We had the total 5 fumbles and only lost 1. We didn't really turn the ball over a whole lot, but I think we also didn't produce like we were supposed to. Like the offense wasn't clicking. We had 0 run offense. And we have the weapons, right? We got Evans, we got Godwin, we got White, we got Bucky Irving to be a complimentary running back. We got Culp from Washington as well as our tight end to help out Cade Otton because apparently he doesn't like to catch the ball in clutch moments. And the defensive line, dude, we better start getting more sacks. Like, it's got to be a repeat of the 0-2. Like, I know we were in the 10th.
I was just about to say, you just said that we were in the 10th. What are you talking about?
We've been in further up for consistently longer periods of time, and now I'm seeing a decline for the Bucs, and it doesn't look very good. Now, keep in mind, our depth at quarterback needs a little bit of help, and I don't know why we didn't pick up anybody of a named value there, because obviously Kyle Trask is not the answer. We know that. The O-line still needs to push, right? It's the running game that needs to be proven there. And we had the 7th easiest schedule in the NFL, but we also have the hardest schedule according to our division. Take that with a grain of salt. This is also the weakest division in the NFC. So I think the Bucs realistically need to look at a 10 or an 11 win season, 11-6 or 10-7. And I said the same thing for the Falcons, right? If
you're out of your damn mind if you think that they're going to win 11 games.
I could just say 17-0.
Out of your damn mind.
You don't think the Bucs are going to win 11 games?
No, I mean, according to you guys, if I say 12-5, that is the end of the world for everybody.
So keep in mind, winning 12 or 13 games in the NFL is basically dominating your whole conference. Not just your division, like the divisional stuff. I'm talking about the whole conference. If you're talking about 12 and 13, 14 wins, you're talking about total domination.
6 is realistic.
It is realistic, and I'm still saying 11-6 or 10-7, somewhere in that range.
And I say 10-7 and 12-5, 1 game difference. But I'm
all right, guys. Let's bring it back.
One game can be the difference between not making the playoffs, being the 4th seed, or being the 1st seed. Keep that in mind. And we've never won more than 12 games.
And the year that we did, we won the Super Bowl.
And the last time we did that, we won the Super Bowl too. We were to 12-4.
History repeats itself, fellas.
All right. Let me burst this.
I don't know about that.
Bubble.
Baker, however, has the most wins in the playoffs than the other quarterbacks in this division.
Suck it. 28-3, Falcons fans. I was nice to you guys, but now screw you.
All right. Here's my thing.
Cheers.
And I'll ask you guys questions. And then you guys okay. You bring up Jensen, right? Jensen did one thing for that offensive line, and I think it was accountability. And I don't know a meaner offensive lineman than Jensen, man.
That's so true.
That's true.
He is. And I remember seeing him at practice, and he doesn't look like he's not like, oh, this guy's muscular. He just looks like a guy that's just going to stomp your face while eating a sandwich.
He's big country.
He is, man. And worse is a beast. I remember standing next to that guy going, this is a big dude. And for me, if you guys, David knows me, I'm a big guy. I'm not a little dude.
No.
And I was like, this is a big guy. So is the offensive line better this year than last year?
I would say that is to be determined. You can't determine that, because if Graham is who we think he's going to be, then yes, I do think it's going to be an improvement, especially on the interior.
So he's gonna
But
he's okay.
but it's
let's say
too early to tell.
it's too early to tell. But it's not a big improvement. Graham's not going to take this O line over the top, and then all of a sudden they're an elite. I was a little off that they don't do anything to really address their running backs, and I thought they had the opportunity to in the offseason. Can anybody name me a good running back that's come out of Oregon?
The Michael James.
Bucky Irving.
I mean, that was pro. I can tell you who it is. It's Jonathan Stewart. He's their best running back to ever come out of Oregon.
I'll take that.
Well, yeah, based on
based on numbers. That offense and that pack conference is built to put up points. I will say though, Mr. Bucky Irving against Washington only put up 20 yards. And then they go and play Arizona State, and he only had like 40 yards. So he's not. I think he's competing he's not competing to be a starter. I don't think he looks great on paper, man. He's an Oregon running back. They're fast. I never heard the phrase, man, that Pac-10's defenses are so good. You never hear that phrase ever, because they're not good. But they do have Baker. I do like Baker, man. That guy's got grit, dude. He plays with heart. They have the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. How this guy is not always in the top three, I'll never know, man. Mike Evans is a beast. I do think it helps that Godwin goes back to the slot full time, and that's where he truly belongs. And it's just Trey Palmer. Is he that guy? Like, can he do it? The tight ends are suspect, but I don't. And in defense, I think they lost some stuff. They lose Shaquille Barrett. I think they're weak on the edges. I don't think they're as strong as they need to be. The safeties are good. Corners aren't. I mean, is he their best corner? Yeah. And nobody's going, man, I wish I had that guy on my team. And they lose. I mean, other than Levante David at linebacker, I don't think it's as strong. I think losing White hurts, and I know he had his attitude issue, and that hurts, but when that guy was committed, he was pretty good. They're leaning a lot, I think, on their young guys. They're asking, because they're in a little bit of a youth movement, that these young guys coming in have to perform right away. And it's asking a lot. I have them at 10-7 with a tie with the Eagles, with not the Eagles, the Falcons, but the Falcons winning the division. I think there's enough on offense that'll keep them there. I wish they would have, man, I thought they had just do anything at running back. I don't think Rachaad White's the guy. Like, you guys can answer this. Who was the guy playing at the end of the year while White was on the bench? Because he wasn't hurt. It was I think his number was 44. I don't remember the name. Like, there was a running back that was playing, like, who is this guy?
Deuce Vaughn?
Maybe, because I had White on my fantasy football team, and I was so mad that he was on the bench.
It wasn't Deuce Vaughn. It was the guy from Syracuse.
His name's eluding me right now.
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
But real quick, didn't we keep Kenny Britt?
Sean Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker. So he's playing, and I do like the pickup of Tyke Smith. I think he has to be their slot or their nickel corner. I don't know if he can move back to safety. I think they're good there. I just don't. There are some what ifs with them. Like, they have really good pieces. It's just, do they have the right pieces? Like, every time we keep talking about teams that are contending, we talk about how good their O line is. Man, I don't know. But I got them at 10-7. But I'm going to give the tiebreaker to the Falcons. But I do like the Bucs, man. They're a fun team. I like Baker. Who doesn't like Mike Evans? Unless you're this Lattimore, then you hate Mike Evans with a passion.
It's a good rivalry. We always look forward to that.
Oh yeah,
they need to fight.
I will ask you this, Carlos, with 10-7. So, do you think that say if the Bucs go 10-7, Falcons go 10-7, just like you're saying, Falcons take first place. So that eliminates Tampa from the playoffs. Then, do you see that?
No, I mean they could
do you
sneak
see
in as
them?
the
Do you
last
see
wild
them
card.
maybe a wild card? Okay,
They could. I mean, they have that. I mean, the experience of playoff games with their crew, like Evans, Godwin, Mayfield. I'm not a real huge Todd Bowles fan either, man. That guy is good.
I'm not either, and I'm
I'm not.
and this is from a Bucs fan. I hated the fact that we did not call a timeout in that Lions game. I get that, odds are no, the game is over. But gosh dang, man, this team fought for you. This team fought all year. No one predicted us to be in the divisional round competing to go into the NFC Championship game last year. Everyone had us picking Caleb Williams by the end of the year because they thought Tom Brady's gone. This is going to be the death of the Bucs run, and Baker is going to do what Baker does. And it was the complete opposite. And I hated seeing that we just almost gave up there at the end of the year with not
because he
calling
shows
that
no
time.
emotion.
Huh?
He's emotionless. Todd Bowles is an
seriously,
emotionless
get
human
Oh my
being.
god!
Yeah.
Just,
He's great in defense. Don't get me wrong. Another dude who is probably a great coordinator, but he needs to show some passion. He might be a different dude behind the cameras and stuff, but if you're on the sidelines like this the whole time,
dude, it makes me so mad.
Even Bill Belichick threw a headset.
Yeah, it does. It makes me so mad. But I mean, it's just who he is, and he'll probably. I think Todd Bowles is probably going to have another couple of years, and unless if they start declining rapidly, he could be here for a really long time. Because the Glazers, I mean, they unlike the Panthers owner who gets 3 head coaches a year, the Glazers, tend to stick it out a little bit more. So, but hey, we appreciate you guys listening to us. This is the second to last episode for our way too early series predictions. Be sure to go back and check out the other divisions. If we didn't touch on your team this week, be sure to go ahead and leave your comment down there below to see where you see this division. How do you see it falling this year? We would love to know. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that like button. We are trying to get to 500 subscribers before the beginning of the football season. That's a goal. All right. So we're on our way. So we appreciate you guys. So, just as Pat McAfee says, be a friend, tell a friend, and share this video. So it can definitely help us in our growth. But next week, we are going to be wrapping up this series, and we are going to be covering the NFC West. Now, I know Theo is not here tonight. Again, Theo, we hope everything is going well, but his team is in the West. That's the Los Angeles Rams. So hopefully he'll be able to join us next week because that should be a fun division to break down to wrap up this series. And like I said, leave those comments down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we will see and follow us on all of our social medias. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go ahead and all of the links are down there in the description below. So, but until next week, fellas,
you're zoned.